Hello, Guardians. It is Ebontis, and today is May 21st. We are up here in the tower, way over here in the hangar, right up in this little region up here, and Xur has arrived, so let's see what he's got for sale. Alright, so quick reminder, if you do need a old piece of armor exotic, you can get a chance at, completing your collection here. Otherwise, a random exotic piece of armor if you're still going for a stat roll. Never know, but, if you got the shards, may as well spend them. So now let's see what he's actually selling this week. First thing we've got is Monte Carlo. This is a really cool auto rifle. Actually, it's one, if you ever need bounties, if you need to use your melee frequently, this is your gun. So the perk here is dealing damage with this weapon reduces your melee cooldown, and grants a chance to fully charge your melee ability with each kill. So if you're mowing down a whole bunch of low-level ads, you're going to have your melee up very, very often. Or if you dump a lot of bullets into a higher health enemy, by the time you're, halfway through that enemy, you're going to have your melee ability back as well. So anything related to melee abilities, recharging those, this is extremely helpful for those, especially if you have bounties to do or anything of that nature. Definitely kind of a must-buy if you don't own it, and if you've used it before, you know what I'm talking about. The other perk here is Markov Chain. This weapon gains increased damage from melee kills and kills from this weapon. Melee kills grant ammo for this weapon. So basically, if you like melees at all and using, your different melee abilities that you've got, whether it's Celestial Fire, Shoulder Charge, or anything else, this is a really, really good weapon to have. If you don't have, and it's actually really fun to use, pretty solid auto rifle overall. It's a 600. They're still in a pretty good spot. This is just one of those guns. If you don't have it, make sure you buy it. And if for some reason, you need an updated model, definitely get it as well. For the hunters, we've got the leg armor Gemini Jester. Perk here is Misdirection. Dodging disorients nearby enemies and temporarily removes their radar. So if you do dodge near someone, this is going to be mostly a PvP thing. It's got a radius, but I've seen even, kind of go through walls and around corners and stuff like that. So if you do dodge near an enemy, you're going to get a little disorientation, kind of throw them off for a little bit, and also remove their radar so they won't know where you're going to be. Hunters can use this thing to really high levels, pretty cool abilities this is high level, movement skill that you've got, but this is kind of a cool one people used to tease each other with. For stats here, you've got a total of 61. Not exactly the highest in the world, but you are looking at 18 mobility. So when it comes to mobility, that's actually going to help refresh your dodge. So that's not a bad thing to have. Decent recovery, discipline, intellect, not the highest stats in the world, but 18 mobility, not awful recovery. Intellect could be a little higher, but overall, not the worst Gemini Jester I've ever seen. It could be like, really high strength and resilience or something and completely useless. So not bad. If you just have like a Gemini Jester, you might compare and see if this one's still a little more functional in the stat category. For the Titans, we've got the Dunemarchers. Pretty popular one here. Perk is Linear Actuators. You increase sprint speed. Sprinting builds up a static charge. After melee attacking an enemy, that charge will chain damage to nearby enemies. So this is a pretty popular one for PvP with that melee chain. Because you're sprinting, you're going to build up that charge. You run around the map all the time. And then if you do get a melee off, just in general in any way, that punch can chain damage to other people, make them all weaker. Still a popular one for more PvP than I would say PvE, but not a bad one in general. As for stats, we're looking at 61 total. Recovery, not a bad thing for PvP. Intellect at 12. Strength at 10, not bad for melees and those abilities. Resilience at 11. It's actually not a horrible stat roll for 61. It's distributed decently. Overall, again, they are higher stats that do exist out there, but it's actually not too shabby, at least for the way it's distributed. Recovery for some PvP, intellect isn't awful, resilience for a Titan is at least over 10. Can't really argue a ton. So again, compare stats. These aren't like blow me away amazing rolls, but they're also not awful either. So definitely some serviceable rolls we've got today. Finally, for the Warlock, we've got the Astrocyte Verse. This one is related to Blink, so it's going to be for your Void subclass. Move to survive. Blink further and more frequently. Weapon readies quickly out of Blink, and radar will remain up. So if you are a Blink Warlock, this is something you definitely want to consider. Now, this is one of those times when the stats on the other side are a high roll of 66, but as you can see, the distribution for a Warlock is pretty terrible. You got 16 in resilience. While you need some resilience in PvP, getting the stats in there in the first place is not really required. 3 in recovery really hurts the Warlocks. Intellect of 7, discipline of 8. I mean, you're sitting at high mobility, high resilience, and high strength. Those are like the opposite stats you mostly need for a Warlock. So overall, while it's kind of a cool exotic, if you like blinking, it's one to experiment with if you haven't done that before. The stat roll while at 66 is much less functionally helpful than the other two at 61. So remember, distribution matters just as much as total. Sadly, this distribution, while high in some departments, if you like them, cool, but less helpful for Warlock. And that pretty much does wrap up Xur this week. I'm going to go do a video over the Legend Lost sector today because, just an FYI, it should be on the moon and it should be exotic legs. So it is the Revelation. It's the longer Lost sector, but you can get the new exotic legs from this one. So I'll be doing a solo guide over this one for you guys. So look for that one coming out here very soon, pretty much as soon as I'm done with this video. But if you guys are new to the channel and enjoyed this video, please drop a like below. If any of these exotics I didn't call out something cool for, please do that one as well. We did record the last word, episode 150. Thank you guys for us getting to 150 episodes. It's fantastic. Had a great guest on there, Mark from Guardian Radio, pretty much one of the first Destiny podcasts that ever existed. For sure the first one, but also one of the longest run ones ever as well. So check that one out, the last word. That will be posted up probably tomorrow, also on audio later today. And then, of course, you guys, if you are new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button and the alert bell. It's a nice way to support the channel and then help my videos make it into your feed if you want to see future ones from me. I'm going to be still covering, of course, this, but Biomutant comes out next week, so you guys can tune in for that one. You guys can find me over on Twitter and then streaming a variety of things, Destiny, and then probably Biomutant next week over on twitch.tv/Ebontis. So thank you guys very much, and I'll see you in the next one.